Hi, this is Ian Khan, author of the 7 Axioms of Value Creation, and you are watching the 7 Axioms video course. I want to talk to you about the 4th axiom, which is all about people. We live in an era where 2 different generations or multiple generations together are in the workforce. You have boomers, zoomers, Gen X, Gen Y. Everybody is in the workforce. And also because technology is changing the way we do things, it's affecting our personal lives, it's affecting our work, it's creating a bit of a chaotic situation. And it's creating a challenge as well when it comes to managing people, and it's about getting the best from them. Let's talk about this. I really believe that this era is an era of acknowledgements and rewards. And it always has been. People through generations, through the ages, have worked better, done better, and have been more motivated when they've been acknowledged, when they've been loved, when they've been thanked. And so there's nothing wrong with being appreciated and appreciating people and acknowledging them for their success and all the things that they do. So you've got to be able to think about people first. If you are an organization and you manage teams, you're a manager and you're a team leader, you probably know the importance of being able to grow people. It's not only about getting them to do the things that you want them to do, but it's also about creating and facilitating the future success that they bring to your organization. Typically, we sometimes neglect growing people. We neglect helping people be more better. And while it's a small thing, there's many different management thoughts, but all of them come to the conclusion that when you acknowledge people for the things they do, when you reward them for the things they do, results are better. This adds to the whole conversation of where the corporate culture of an organization is. In many companies that I have seen, there's no culture of rewards. There's no culture of appreciation and acknowledgement. And it's not the fault of the people and people within those organizations, but this is all to do with what the culture of that organization is. To a huge extent, this is something that goes from top down. It really depends on how the senior leaders within that organization behave, and what are the strategies and rules and all the cultural elements that they have enabled within that organization. The future is all about acknowledging and rewarding people. And it's because we have such a cultural shift that new millennials, people from the newer generation, are joining the workplace, and they have a different way of working. If you are a millennial, I guarantee that you would totally agree with me that you work better when you're rewarded, you're acknowledged for the things that you do. Now, rewards and acknowledgements don't have to be financial. These are not the things that you can give some kind of a gift card to your employees and say, well, here's some money because you did good, and go and do something better and spend that money now. It's not about money at all. So if that's the way you've been thinking about rewards, then that's not the way you should be thinking. Research also says that when you reward your customers, when you reward and acknowledge the success of your partners, then things change at a brand level. Many companies today have loyalty programs where you reward your customers for spending more. In hotels, for example, you spend X amount of nights and you get rewarded with something. Or you go to your grocery store, you buy a certain amount of groceries over a certain period of time, and you get points, and you can spend those points to buy something else. All of these things are about rewards, and they are an excellent way to increase the overall impact, both at an organizational level, at a company level, as well as at a personal level. So how do you enable rewards? What can you do to change the way things are happening in your organization or in your personal life? Let's just accept that acknowledgements and rewards are the way to go. The future depends on it. Because competitive forces are shaping what you do, and because of emerging technology and rapidly changing markets, things are changing. You've got to add an element of acknowledgements and rewards at every level within your organization and in your life. Here are 2 different things, one for organizations and one for individuals. If you are an organization and you're trying to grow, you're trying to be successful, you're trying to succeed and surpass and thrive today and tomorrow, then you've got to focus on acknowledgements and rewards both internally as well as externally. At an internal level, this goes to not HR, but to your overall policies of how you treat people, how you onboard people, how you facilitate their development throughout their careers within your organization. Believe it or not, in today's date and time, people are not going to stick to your organization forever. The times when you used to work for a company for 10, 20, 40, 50, 60 years has passed. And if you find an employee that you think is going to be at your organization for the next 50 years, then please change your mindset, because that is not going to happen. Research suggests that the newer generations that are in the workforce today will have 4, 5, 6, or 10 different career choices that they will make by the time they retire. And there's nothing wrong with that. People have different needs, they have different motivations, they have different life situations, and if they can be part of your organization, add a tremendous amount of value to it, and move on with their careers, there's nothing wrong with that. But you still have to focus on those people when they are part of your organization. So internally, you have to make sure that everybody within your employee base, within your team, within your group is being rewarded and acknowledged for every small piece of success that they bring to the table. There are many books that have been written about this. Ken Blanchett, The 1 Minute Manager, there's tens and tens and tens of books that have been written about how to manage people. A great way to do that is to have regular meetings every week, every month, to just do group meetings and acknowledge people for all the things that they've done. Depending on the corporate culture, you might have a strategy called Sprint that's used in the software industry world to do regular meetings and to figure out on an everyday basis and a weekly or a monthly basis where your product development is. You've got to be able to add some kind of a sprint to your people. You've got to do a weekly meeting where you're figuring out and asking them about their accomplishments and thanking them for them and acknowledging them in front of everybody else. And that will go a long, long way when it comes to getting the best out of people. Externally, you've got to have a loyalty program of some kind, whether it's for partners, it's for customers, it's for the other stakeholders. You've got to be able to say thank you to everybody who's making it possible for your organization to succeed. I don't know if you're selling a product, a solution, or a service, but things such as even sending handwritten notes, it works. It really depends on what your organization does and what it doesn't do. There's tons of programs that you could start and create. It's time for you to go back to the drawing board and think about what success and failure means to you. Is a product sale a success? Is the loss of a sale failure? Or is it the long-term value of your partnerships with your customers, stakeholders, and your overall base of contacts that is success for you? You've got to figure that out and add the element of rewarding and acknowledging people. At the end, you have to focus on how to add value to others so that that value comes back to you as an organization. If that's your mindset, then figure out how to reward and acknowledge everything good that happens around you because of people who do that for you. At an individual level, it's really important that you actually reward and acknowledge yourself. Many times what we do is we just disregard all the good things that we do. On an everyday basis, I guarantee you that you do tens of different things that change your life in a positive way, that brings and adds value to your family. If you have a family, you have kids, you have a spouse, you have parents or dependents, and you do everything for them or many things for them, that adds a lot of value to their lives. If you're feeding people, your family is dependent on you, on your income, then you're adding a lot of value to those lives. So give yourself some acknowledgement every single day and don't disregard the things that you do. If you're working in an organization and you're working from 9 to 5 or 8 to 8, then reward yourself for that. Give yourself a treat every now and then and talk to yourself about all the good things that you're doing. Now, I'm not talking about just going crazy and talking about all the positive things without any basis. But if you are watching this video, you're doing something positive right now to change your life. And you should acknowledge that on an everyday basis. And if you do that, the way you see the world, the way the world reacts with you is going to be different. At an individual level, when you start acknowledging and rewarding yourself, you will see a higher level of engagement that happens. You will see people speaking to you in a different way. You'll start recognizing that the world around you is different. So start doing that with yourself right now. Start rewarding and acknowledging other people who are in your life, whether it's somebody who serves you, it's your family, it's your spouse, it's your service provider, it's your car mechanic or your gardener. Or it could be people at your work. Start acknowledging the success that other people bring to your work, whether it's your peers, your partners, your colleagues, your team members. Start that culture of acknowledging other people for what they do and see how that comes back to you. If you can reward people in some way, then do that. It's also important to know that in addition to just rewarding and acknowledging success, you're also acknowledging failure. You're also acknowledging that something didn't work, that something wrong happened or something led to a failure. And it's very important to recognize that so that you can use that as a learning lesson to build to the future. Quite recently, the news said that Google has figured a way to change the way they work because now they have a process to analyze failure in their organization. Well, that's Google and they're really, really big. But this one thing that they've added to their work is a very ordinary and a small thing, is just to acknowledge failure. So you can do that in your life. Think about all the things that haven't worked for you, acknowledge them, and don't berate yourself and be too harsh on yourself. You cannot succeed in everything that you do, but you've got to acknowledge what is good and what is bad, what has worked and what hasn't, and build up on that because it will add a tremendous amount of skills to you. Last but not least, at an individual level, treat other people at a human level. Treat other people as you, because they have the same needs as you. They want to be acknowledged, loved, appreciated, and grown. Everybody around you has this need. They want to be appreciated, they want to be loved, and they want to be acknowledged. So start doing that with others as you expect them to do with you. You will see this change taking place in your life and adding a tremendous amount of value. This is going to be an era where acknowledgements and rewards will change everything that we'll do. It'll change the way we become successful. It'll change the way we add value to other people's lives. So start jumping into this right now and start changing your life.
We know that technology is rapidly changing the world we live in, and one of the most anticipated areas that everyone is watching is artificial intelligence. But we also live in an era of hype and overinflated expectations, and having this is not good for anyone. Hype causes panic, which paralyzes decision making, and for this reason, we must seek the truth. AI, The Next Frontier is a documentary about the reality of tomorrow through the lens of artificial intelligence. In this film, leading experts from different specializations within AI will help understand where we are headed. In addition, experts from leading think tanks, innovative companies, governments, and breakthrough inventors and critics will really help understand the impact of artificial intelligence on our future. Some of the biggest challenges such as privacy, deepfakes, and the future of work, and the opportunities to perhaps solve some of the biggest problems we face today, including climate change, food security, poaching, illegal drug trade, and beyond. The possibilities are endless. AI, The Next Frontier, coming soon.
Hi, I am Ian Khan. We live in a fast-changing world. Today, technology is disrupting everything, but more than that, it is our mindset to not adopt to a fast-changing world. It's our inability to recognize our potential to adapt to change and succeed. I am on a mission to unlock human potential and to help you realize the tremendous possibilities that lie in the future. Because technology is such a big part of our lives and the future, I massively simplify complex ideas to help shape the next big thing. You must have probably seen my talks on TEDx or read one of my books. As a futurist and motivational speaker, the purpose of my life is to help you unlock what lies within, and for all of us to utilize the tools we have available to be massively successful. To change our lives and to become great, we don't need anything except to realize our greatness and to decide what we want to become. Join me in my quest, and together, let's create a better tomorrow.
So, quick question. When you wake up in the morning, with a raise of hands, who here wakes up and jumps out of their beds and says, I love technology? Who does that in the morning? Anybody? Okay, not a lot of people, maybe one or two. Question number two. You get out of bed. Who are those people? I want to see those hands. You jump out of bed and you say, I love blockchain. Anybody? A couple of people. But who amongst you, on an everyday basis, is bombarded with technology terms, blockchain, Bitcoin, big data, all these big words, and you say, hey, I can't make sense of these things. I don't know what I'm supposed to do with it. I don't understand any of it. And I can't tell anybody that I don't know nothing about these things. Who here is among those people? Let's see. Okay, great. You guys are courageous. And you guys and us and me and a majority of people in this world are like this. There's too much technology talk, too many buzzwords, too much hype. People are going and buying cryptocurrencies, and the next day they're tanking. They're investing in big data, and next year it's cloud. And these trends are not real. Some of them are just hype. And the challenge that I saw in the industry is that in order to create real value, we need to separate hype from reality. We need to separate things that are real, that have real impact on governance, on the private sector, on the public sector, from things that distract people. I work with a lot of C-level people and governments, and the challenge is people won't even tell you that they don't understand things. They just say, yeah, I understand. So do you understand this? Yeah, I understand. They don't. And I think we need to cross that chasm. We need to break that mold in order to make technology more friendly, in order to help people understand technology in a way where it would be really easy to understand it. And so that kind of led to the film Blockchain City. In the year, you probably know the story that in the year 2008, Satoshi Nakamoto came out with Bitcoin, which was founded on blockchain. So it's been about 10, 11 years. And so last year, exactly 10 years after that incident, I said, hey, I've got to do something about this because I don't understand what's happening with blockchain. I don't understand what's happening with Bitcoin. And so don't many, many other people across the world. And I said, let me make a documentary film. Let me talk to people who have really done something in blockchain, who are working on this technology, who are creating results, who are creating positive change. And let me hear their thoughts to understand what's happening. CU Ledger has become part of this film, and it's because of this where we were able to complete this project. But I could run a chart after chart, a graph after graph to show you where technology is going, how it's increasing, and we could run at different things. But what I want to do is simplify technology so that you're not afraid of it. So tell me something. What do you see here? What feeling does this give to you? Are you angry because you're seeing this? Who's angry? Anybody? Are you sad? No? Nobody? Who's feeling a little peaceful? Right? All of you. Everybody's feeling peaceful, right? And so this technology that kind of brings peace of mind, this is my definition. That technology is blockchain. Blockchain is about peace of mind. Artificial intelligence is about freedom. And so we've got to define technology in a new way that we can relate to, rather than say that, well, blockchain is this ledger in the sky, with two things and a network and everything is being updated, and it's this new database.
I don't like that definition because nobody understands it except a few people who work deep in this technical field. But everyday people, you and I, individual contributors, business leaders, we're not technical. We're not. So we have to change the definition that we use to understand and explain technology. This is Glacier 51 toothfish. This fish lives 2 kilometers under the sea, near the South Pole. And fishermen in southern Australia travel 4,200 kilometers one way, 4,200 kilometers the other way, after going on a fishing trip to catch this fish. It's a very prized fish. It's very delicate, the flavor is amazing, and it's a very rare find. So restaurants around the world sell it, and connoisseurs of this menu pay high dollar to enjoy this fish. Now, what's the connection with technology? Well, good connection. Blockchain technology today tracks the fishing of this fish, of Glacier 51 toothfish. And now you can have a farm-to-fork tracking of this fish to ensure and to give those people who are consuming this fish at the end that this is the trace of the fish. This is the place it was caught. This is the ship that it was at. This is the plant where it was processed and packaged. And that's how value is created. It's one application of blockchain. In the world, about $2 billion worth of beef is sold as Australian beef, and it's fake. It's not Australian beef. It's some other beef, but it's labeled and tagged as original Australian beef. And this is a fraudulent industry that's affecting the food world. So we're not getting the things that we want from our grocery stores. And there's a company that's challenging this thing and changing it by tracking the origin of beef from Australia and making sure that that beef has that trace of being tracked from source, to the plate. In the United States, about $40 billion of insurance fraud happens. And this is people fraudulently claiming things. This picture is actually somebody in the UK. They wanted to claim £300,000 worth of insurance, and 4 or 5 people died in this thing. And this is a live industry where people are suffering. But if this was on blockchain technology, this wouldn't have happened because everything would have been traceable, trackable, and so on. So these are the things that kind of pushed me to figure out what's happening with blockchain. And I contacted governments across the world and asked them, can we hear from you? What's your journey? And why are you doing blockchain? What's pushing you to implement blockchain? And Dubai is a great success story. And so is Estonia. And something's happening in Denmark. And something is happening in many different parts of the world. And these stories need to be told in a manner that we understand. I interviewed some really cool people as part of the film, starting here in Dubai. You obviously know that Dubai has a huge project in blockchain. Smart Dubai is pushing that for 2020. And I think you all should be proud. Whoever is here from the Emirates should be really proud about that, because that story needs to be told to the rest of the world. Similarly, in the Netherlands, they're doing something, and we want to learn from them as ordinary people. Not just technologists need to learn that, but we all need to learn that story. I have somebody from Denmark. I have a Grammy Award winner who's doing something with blockchain technology to make sure that artists get paid with their worth of work, because apparently 50% of payments do not reach artists at all. And so these are some of the challenges. We interviewed Estonia as well. And so here at the World Government Summit, it's my pleasure to bring you the first public preview of the film. I'm just going to play 10 minutes of the film. The actual film is going to be screened at the Future Blockchain Summit here in Dubai, 2nd and 3rd of April. So please visit that show. But I'm going to play 10 minutes of the film. Please enjoy. Let's have some lights down, and let's play the film.
My name is Ian Khan. After meeting with hundreds of professionals, experts, industry practitioners over the last few years, I found a severe need within the industry across the board to help figure out what the fuss was all about with this new technology called blockchain. Blockchain City is the true story of blockchain and the reality of how it impacts us all. As people, our cities, our workplaces, our families, and our future. Sometime after the year 2008, an entity or a group of people under the pseudonym of Satoshi Nakamoto came out with the famous white paper that highlighted a new electronic form of currency that would independently change everything about money. A new revolution had begun. Blockchain was the core technology foundation of this new currency, and this revolution has now culminated into a global phenomenon. Governments, private and public sector firms are embarking on creating more value, more change, and solving some of the world's biggest problems. My journey of understanding this global movement to create more trust, secure our transactions, and create more value started in the city of Dubai. This is where the vision of tomorrow is driving an aggressive strategy of how technology can augment our capabilities. Follow me on this journey as I embark on a quest to find the truth from those who know best where we're headed. In the middle of the Arabian Peninsula, one of the most well-known cities is Dubai, a fast-growing metropolis and the epicenter of change in the Middle East. Dubai has always been synonymous with progress, challenging the status quo, and dreaming big. The government of Dubai, with its vision of tomorrow, powered by technology, has embarked on an aggressive plan to enable a blockchain-based government by 2020. The United Arab Emirates also has a national plan to enable blockchain across all 7 Emirates in the next decade or so.
Don't fear from technology. Be smart on how to deal with these technologies. Doesn't matter if it is a blockchain or big data or any type of technologies, even our smart devices, as long as we know why we are using it. If you don't know how to use them, go and educate yourself. Make sure that you utilize the best of these technologies for your own benefit. We need to be wise enough to understand what these technologies will add value to my life. And for me personally, as long as it will make my life much simpler and much easier, I will go for it.
From manufacturing to logistics, transportation, healthcare, and real estate, every sector, every industry is set to undergo a radical shift in the next few years, potentially because of blockchain. Yet we do not understand blockchain to an extent where we could really be comfortable with it. To date, technology has been a domain of computer programmers, experts, and leaders alone. But just like blockchain promises democratization of technology, we need to break down the barriers to understand blockchain itself. We must find out what blockchain really is, and more than that, how it can be defined by what value it brings.
A blockchain is essentially a breakthrough in database technology. It's a new kind of database system that, because of its architecture, enables everybody on the system to trust the system.
It's a tool for decentralizing relationships relationships, contracts, and decision-making so that they aren't mediated by gatekeepers of various kinds. That's a very powerful idea.
If you use a little example here to make it a bit more illustrative to the viewers, you could think of a transaction which we all observe. So let's assume all the viewers here which are watching us right now would have a little black notebook on their lap and would kind of take notes of all the transactions they are seeing. And they are seeing right now a person here standing which maybe they are not familiar with, and that person is holding $20 in his hands. So you have super sharp eyes and you can see the ID and everything, and this is a legal token. So now you see that I give this $20 to this gentleman over here, which you don't know, but you have seen the transaction took place. Now you write this transaction in your little black notebook and calculate a little sum to that, and you add all the subsequent transactions to that. Now let's say in 5 minutes I'm saying, oh, wait a minute, that weren't $20, that were $100, and I want my $100 back. So all the people who are viewing this transaction, I would have now to convince that their transaction, which have been kind of jotted down in their little black notebooks, are not actually $20, but $100. Now, how would I do that, right? Because I don't know how many people actually have a ledger, have written down this transaction. And on top of that, I would have kind of pried my way through. I have to persuade them to change the entry. Why would they do that, right? Because they don't know me, there's nothing they can gain here. And in parallel, all the other transactions which are ongoing, because more people kind of doing payments, they have to be jotted down as well. So they would be super busy, and that would be prohibitively expensive for me to do so. So economically, it doesn't make sense.
Despite the various explanations that blockchain is defined as, it's still hard to sometimes comprehend the actual technology. And for that, we must understand it beyond just its architecture. One of the most innovative and forward-thinking countries in the world is also one of the tiniest European nations, Estonia. Over the last 2 decades or so, Estonia has really laid the foundation of a digitally powered nation and is now reaping its rewards. Estonia is also considered to be a leader in blockchain, which in some ways is often a less represented fact.
Estonia kind of had blockchain databases before the term blockchain was coined, but I would have to say that Estonia is not a blockchain nation, so we don't run fully on blockchain. We just happen to be in a position where we created similar databases that are now referred to as blockchain technologies. And we use that in our people's registry and to run our state databases and systems.
One of the other benefits of blockchain is also mass collaboration and the ease of sharing information to create value. The Netherlands, with its Dutch blockchain coalition, is spearheading efforts to create global awareness and impact.
It's a missing piece to support collaboration between different companies, between different governments in a supply chain. It can help you to work together and to give you as a person a better user experience and make new things possible.
And yet, where would we be without really addressing the need for us humans to live a life of acknowledgement, respect, dignity, and value? Maybe blockchain can help us realize our true human potential.
For me, blockchain is going to help me become more me. It's going to celebrate my individuality. I feel like the IP of who we are and our ideas will have value and meaning, and I think that's going to be a huge shift.
To go. That's the first time I've shown this in public, so thank you. And the film is about 40 minutes. This was just 10 minutes, and we go a little bit deeper into understanding the different sides of it. And the purpose being, let's make technology more interactive. Let's watch it instead of cat videos. Let's watch this documentary and understand it. Let's play in our office during lunchtime or play it at events. So the goal is to really take this story worldwide and talk about this across the world. Now, I have a special surprise. I have Roman Beck here, who's part of the film. Roman, come up on stage, and we're going to do a real quick round of Q&A. I also had Marlos here. I also had Oth here. but they had to leave because of time constraints. Now, Roman is a globally known expert on blockchain. He's a professor at IT University in Copenhagen, and I'm really indebted to him and all the people who contributed to the film. If you guys have questions, we can take 1 or 2 questions, and Roman can answer that. But Roman, really tell me, is there too much hype in the world that we as technologists, educators, need to kind of simplify?
There's clearly a hype around that, but actually there's a substantial part of that is also kind of important to understand, and that is around the processes we are kind of blockchainifying here, and that is something that is extremely annoying in my face.
That's way better. So, yeah. See, that is kind of, you saw me with a beard, kind of that is the effect when you shave. The thing is scratching. So you see there is a hype around that, and the ICO bubble bursted, and now we see kind of STO discussions around, and also how you can gain benefit from that on a more substantial base. Quite often what is discussed is kind of what kind of business model can you do, and we've seen this actually this night as well, this evening, where the different startups were asked kind of, so what is your revenue model, what is your business model? What is often overlooked is that there is actually a new economic model which is upcoming, and that is something that is, has to do with the nature of the service, the nature of the value creation of a blockchain system, and that is around the public good. We have currency where this is coming from, but we also see the bill of lading project that has been done by Maersk and IBM, and kind of turning around of an aircraft. We see a lot of processes around which are not owned. So if you think about processes everybody depends upon, but nobody owns, that is very likely, and it's data intense, that is very likely a process that is benefiting from a blockchainification. Now, we are very much looking into replacing middlemen, the agents, but I find it way more fascinating to look into those processes. And if you think about this for a moment, there are gazillions of these processes around, which are actually quite interesting to look from a blockchain point of view at them.
Now we're at, thank you, Roman, and we're at World Government Summit. There's many different forums, the Services Forum, and we could talk about all of them. Do you really think that blockchain could actually, really, realistically create efficiency in governments worldwide? Like this is real, yes? There's things happening right now.
Well, we are sort of evangelizing governments for now more than 4 years, nearly 5 years. I'm advising the German government, the Danish government, the Swiss government. I was in Brussels on Thursday. What we are seeing is an increased awareness that kind of blockchain might be something that is, especially from a public point of view, of relevance. And I can give you just one example. We just concluded a project for the EU Commission where we looked into a solution to reduce carbon emission of all the 300 million vehicles on European streets, where you wanted to enforce it across border in multi-jurisdictional spheres, and you want to make sure that kind of the carbon measurement as well as the reduction of carbon emission is done in a reliable, trustworthy, etc. way. That is a clear indication for me that not just the EU Commission, but also kind of national states in Europe and abroad. I was in Australia, and I did a workshop for the Reserve Bank of Australia. You see that kind of public sector agencies clearly see the potential and take it serious, and you see a lot of kind of really interesting projects upcoming.
Now, Roman, you're a professor. You teach. You're an educator. You're an academic. What advice would you give everybody here and thousands of people who will watch this talk afterwards? How should they really start this journey of learning such a complex technology but owning it somehow in their own space? What should they do?
So that is, of course, kind of the killer question. How do you get started, and how do you get benefit from that? Kind of in a nutshell, if you think about data is the new oil, then blockchain is the new combustion engine. Right? It's going to be the inter-organizational operation system for a lot of systems we are working on. Now, we are not used to create business models for inter-organizational systems, but that is the reason why we have to look at that, and that is one of the reasons why we do design thinking workshops at the European Blockchain Center. We are running summer schools. The Blockchain Summer School is upcoming, the 4th this year, together with the United Nations, with WWF, with all kinds of industry partners. Yeah. So that is one way of getting started and kind of figuring out how you can create a public good with a revenue model where you can actually benefit from.
Thank you so much. A big hand for Roman. Thank you very much. He'll be around if you have questions, and you can grab him. Thanks so much, Roman. And really, education is the first kind of step towards it. And whether you're playing the film, whether you're starting a program or anything, I think it all starts with learning and educating yourself. There's many different ways to slice this pie, but I think the hesitation that we have to accept that we are lacking somewhere and we need to learn something, I think we all need to overcome that. Because as we saw in some of the previous presentations, the fourth industrial revolution is happening, technology is here. I think we need to take a proactive stand and accept that it's all very complicated and we don't understand any of it, and ask people to explain it to us until we don't understand. Because if we keep on fooling ourselves, we're going to be going in a deficit. And 2, 3, 5, 10 years down the line, it'll be too late for us to recoup. So that was the journey of Blockchain City. Please visit me on the website at blockchaincitymovie.com. Be part of the movement. You want to see the film at your workplace, at your event, in your city, in your country, please reach out to us, and hopefully we'll see you at the Future Blockchain Summit here in Dubai, April 2nd and 3rd. And I'm right on time. Thank you so much for being here today and hanging in there. I love you guys. Thank you so much.
It's been a great pleasure having all of you with us. I would like to thank you, and I would like to thank all of our speakers today. Until we see you again in our next session of GX Talks, thank you and enjoy the rest of the summit.
Hi, the film was amazing. It was very insightful, very practical. Coming from a non-IT background, a business and finance background, it was very interesting to understand how different governments were adopting blockchain and what is the thought process around this technology and the existing challenges. Very practical, applicable to everyone, easy to understand, which is very important when we're talking about new technologies.
The film was great and very informative. About its simplicity, so it gives you just the idea about how our future can be simple, how simple it can be by going through the techniques which will be available in the future, hopefully.
The film is fantastic, very, very much also going around the whole activities that everybody is thinking of having the future and where we can start.
No, the film is great. It was in fact very informative to start with, and it took us deep into the subject. So yes, I haven't heard something like this before.
I see the world in is a constant. We live on the belief that tomorrow will be better, don't we all? Isn't that why we live, why we survive, why we build, and why we dream? The future is approaching us very fast. This is a technology-driven future, a future of rapid change. But this is not necessarily a bad thing, because it brings with it a huge transformation and a new era in human history. To get there, we must walk on a specific path and not just choose short-term happiness, but create sustainable success. We must start thinking differently, start thinking loud, start thinking big. The time to do that is now, right now, because tomorrow is being created right this moment. This is the future where people will be happier, healthier, live longer, and stronger. My name is Ian Khan, and I'm driven to unlocking your potential by showing you what the future holds and to help you get there with a proven process for success. My work as an author and a documentary filmmaker helps me convey ideas that can create real impact. Over the last 20 years, I have worked with hundreds of organizations in helping them understand the future and how to succeed. I've worked across the world, from Dubai to Denmark and Seoul to San Francisco, challenging CEOs, challenging heads of departments and governments in pushing their limits to think differently. using a proven methodology of the 7 axioms of value creation as a foundation and deriving insights from rapidly evolving technologies such as artificial intelligence, blockchain, the Internet of Things, and more, I can help you understand the future of industry. Come join me. Let's build the future together, right now, right here, today. Hi, this is Ian Khan, and welcome to January the 2nd, 2020. Hey, believe it or not, it's already 2 days. 2 days are over from this new year, and before you know it, January will be over, February will be over, the first quarter will be over, half of the year will be over, and we will be at the end of the year. That's what happens every single time, as far as I have seen throughout my life and my career. So the point is that time passes really, really fast. And time is the only commodity that we have that cannot be replaced by anything. We cannot create more of it, and once it's gone forever. This week is still a slow week because people are still catching up to work, and next week is going to be probably a busier week. But before we hit next week, I really want to talk to you about something, one thing that'll potentially propel you into a better future. It'll potentially propel your business, your career into a better tomorrow and make 2020 a better year for you. And that is holding yourself accountable. No matter how many goals you have, no matter how many targets you've created for yourself, for your business, for your organization, for your personal life, for your health, wealth, peace of mind, you've got to hold yourself accountable to create those outcomes, because if you don't, they're never going to happen. The beauty about creating goals is that you can create any goal that you want. You can create any target. You can dream up any scenario in your life and think about it as an outcome for yourself. But until you don't push it, until you don't create the reality in it and execute on those tasks that you've broken down that goal into, it is not going to happen, and your goal is going to remain a dream at the end of the year, which is not what we want. And that's where accountability comes into place. Accountability is telling yourself that you have to do this no matter what. It's about grinding, it's about staying in there, it's about doing whatever it takes until the job is done, until the task is completed. I'm not going to give you a basic lesson in achieving goals, but a big goal needs to be broken down into tasks, and once you complete those tasks, then you will achieve your goal. That's the philosophy of achieving any single goal. Take time for yourself, maybe this week, the next couple of days, and think about what is it that's going to take you to execute on the tasks that you need to do. And if you have goals, if you have big goals, small goals, do you actually have tasks that are planned out? What do you use as a task planning tool? Do you use a software? Do you use a journal, a notebook? Whatever it is, get organized. I personally use something called Asana, which is an online free software that you can use to track goals and to manage the things you need to manage when it comes to holding yourself accountable. There's so many different platforms and websites available: Trello, Asana, and 20 more that I could tell you. But go out there and look for these platforms. Start using them for free. They don't even cost anything. And it could really help you create a lot of discipline when it comes to executing on those tasks that will ultimately take you to your goal. See, we cannot go somewhere without taking the steps. We can't be somewhere without actually going on the journey. So how do you expect to make the extra money, the $1 million, the $5 million, or lose weight, or do one of these things in your organization when it comes to efficiency, when it comes to creating better results, more revenue, unless you don't put things into place? And that's the big challenge with every industry and every company that struggles to create results. More often than ever, founders and business leaders have the ideas of what they want to do, but where they fall short is the execution of the tasks that need to be created in order to get to that goal. So that is the conversation of today, is hold yourself accountable. Think about accountability today. What does it mean for you? Where do you want to hold yourself accountable for success and hold yourself responsible for creating these amazing results that you can achieve in 2020? We're not going to be talking about 2020 forever, because in the next couple of weeks, everyday life will hit us. We'll forget it's the new year and we'll be grinding away towards other tasks. So it's important that we set the path straight right now. We